All right, we are live. This is Brian from Bull Strength, and this is my first ever live stream. So, just going to kind of introduce myself a little bit. We'll get into some Q&A. I realize probably I'm not going to get a lot of people tuning in right now. I realize it's a weird time. It's like Friday at noon here, so realize a lot of people are at school and work. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of put myself out there, get a live stream up, and kind of talk about the future of this channel. So first of all, I want to make live stream kind of a regular thing. I'm thinking probably like Sunday evenings. So if any of you are interested in that, definitely stay tuned. Hit the bell notification so you can tell when I go live. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous right now. It's my first live stream, so the ums are kind of flying out left and right, but hang in there. But yeah, so Sunday evening, I want to start having some live streams, some Q&As, kind of get to know you guys a little bit better. So I'll put out a reminder earlier in the day. We'll set up a time, and then I'll meet you guys probably around like 5, 6, 7 p.m., something like that. So yeah, we'll start doing these kind of regular. All right. So first of all, Bull Strength. What is this channel? What do I do? So as you probably put together, I'm a personal trainer, diet coach. I love strength training. I love powerlifting. I just love any kind of strength sport. To me, it's just fascinating what the human body is capable of. And just seeing these elite beasts put themselves in harm's way to push themselves to the absolute limit. Shout out to Ronnie Coleman, who is a broken mess right now due to that. But yeah, I just appreciate it. It's a cool thing. So I give out a lot of general fitness advice. A lot of it is kind of specific to strength training. So if any of you are interested in like powerlifting, getting your bench up, getting your deadlift up, anything like that, you and I are pretty much on the same page. So, I also get into diet and supplements a little bit here and there. I mean, if you guys ever have any questions about diet, feel free. I mean, I'll definitely answer what I can. And then obviously, so been doing more social commentary lately. I would say the last 2 or 3 months. I've pretty much started off with talking about fat acceptance and skinny or fat shaming, specifically in Hollywood and stuff like that. And it's kind of become a theme of the channel. I am a very staunch opponent to fat acceptance. I think it's absolute poison. It is plaguing our society, and it needs to be stopped. We need to stop these people that obviously have problems and get them some real help. Let's not tell them that their disordered eating is normal, because it's not. We need to help these people. We need to get them taking care of their bodies, right? Like the point that I've made in several of my videos, with socialized healthcare, we're going to be picking up the cost of all these people. They're going to be a huge burden to us, to the taxpayer. So I'm not saying that I'm not really completely against socialized healthcare. I think that it can be done right. But I do think that if we're going to socialize healthcare, right, if we're all going to be responsible for each other's health, then we need to kind of make sure that we're all on the same page. People need much better education in school. The amount of knowledge that the average American have as far as diet, nutrition, exercise, it's pretty shameful. Nobody really seems to know anything. Nobody knows anything about energy balance, which is like numero uno when it comes to gaining and losing weight. It's just the American education system has absolutely failed us when it comes to educating people on how to eat right, how to exercise, how frequently you should be doing it, What does good posture look like? I mean, do you learn these things in physical education class? You know, how many years do we go through physical education class? I mean, I know I went through it from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. So I went through 13 years of physical education class. I got out of high school. I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about calories. I didn't even know what a calorie was. Most people don't know how to read a food label. Most people don't even look at them. They don't look at the ingredients. They don't look at the nutrition. They're not paying attention at all. Before they know it, they wind up deficient and in a lot of trouble. So, yeah. So I think the education system has 100% failed us, which is why there's a lot of videos on my channel where I talk about really basic stuff like energy balance. You know, I get into some really introductory level nutrition type stuff. And the reason why is that nobody even really knows that. And like I said, it's like we go through so many years of physical education in health class. What did you learn in health class? Did you learn how to be healthy? Did you learn how to take care of yourself? Because honestly, all I learned how to do was put on a condom and be grossed out by watching a woman give birth. Like, we don't freaking learn anything about diet, nutrition, exercise, taking care of your body, maintaining a healthy body. We don't learn that in health class. So we have like a society of people running around that just, you know, they don't know anything, and it's sad. So yeah, I do get into the sort of the introductory level style dieting, nutrition, exercise for that reason. Like I said, the education system has utterly failed us. Now, obviously, my focus is in strength training. So, you know, I talk a lot about deadlifts and strength progression and stuff like that. And like I said, you guys have any questions? This is a Q&A. I have a couple of questions that I have saved from various comments around my channel, which I'll answer. But if any of you guys that are watching right now, so it looks like I have a few viewers, if any of you guys have any questions, throw them out there. Let's get this started. Anyway, and then you can kind of see the more recent direction I've gone with my channel, kind of incorporating a little more lightheartedness, some memes, a little comedy. I like to make people laugh because I like to laugh. So from the very beginning, I actually just wanted to have a straight up comedy channel, something similar to like Bro Science or something like that. But first of all, I can't really do an operation like that by myself. Right now, I just don't have the funding and I don't have a crew. I have this like Best Buy HD camera. I just upgraded my mic and I have like $10 lighting. So I don't have a lot of equipment here, which is why I haven't gone full bore into something like that, like going full on with comedy. But I'm doing my best. I hope you guys are enjoying the memes that I throw out occasionally. But anyway, so that's my channel. So basic fitness, dieting advice, strength training. Yes, I go for the throat when it comes to fat acceptance and just like generally things that I find stupid in the fitness community in general. I'm not trying to go like full Elgin intensity or anything like that, but he and I are definitely on the same page when it comes to a few things for sure. So, all right. So we got 5 people. What's up? So any of you guys have any questions? Anybody want to start talking to me in chat? I'm just kind of chilling here. Anyway, yeah, so obviously I've gotten into politics a little bit with kind of getting into the fat acceptance movement, you know, getting into politics in general is kind of inevitable. You can't really have one without the other. So I'm kind of showing my colors a little bit. In case any of you are wondering, I am a centrist. I'm sort of a libertarian. So I basically have been this since like 2008, since the big Ron Paul thing took off. I was definitely part of that Campaign for Liberty school of thought. And my politics haven't really changed. So the environment around me has changed, but my politics haven't really. Hey, what's up, Nindo? Died with the CrossFit vid. Thank you. Thank you. That took a little elbow grease. I know it looks really amateur, but yeah, whatever. I did my best. So yeah, politics mostly kind of a centrist, more of a libertarian. So I don't want to get too deep into politics as much as I want to. There's a lot of things that come up where I kind of have to stop myself and kind of keep the theme of the channel going. I almost want to have like another channel specifically for political discourse, but we'll see. There's definitely a second channel in the works, but not sure exactly where I'm going to go with it. I definitely want to have so basically I want to have a channel that's basically devoted to group classes that are incredibly we'll say very cheesy, very nerdy, just some green screen foolery. So that's in the works right now. And then obviously, so for you guys tuning in kind of more recently, I do want to start having these live streams regularly. I know this is an awkward time. It's Friday at noon, I look, Eastern time. I know a lot of people are at work right now, and I'm not really hitting a large audience, but just kind of putting myself out there, knocking the rust off, getting used to this live streaming thing. But I want to start doing it Sundays, sometime in the evening. Like I said, I will set a reminder earlier in the day to let you guys know what time I'm going to start streaming. And then probably around like 4, 5, 6 o'clock or so, I'll get that live stream going. That'll be every Sunday. And you guys can ask me questions in the comments. I'll have a Patreon set up for more advanced questions and things like that. Things that I can really chew on and digest and invest a lot of time in. Those kinds of questions will go there. How would you say your politics influence my lifting style? I don't know. I wouldn't say that my politics influence my lifting style. I don't know. I don't think that there's really an intersection as far as my fitness goes. Definitely towards, like politics obviously influences my philosophical views as far as fitness goes, but in the gym, not really, other than kind of the more like suck it up kind of mentality that is kind of required to really get going in the gym. But other than that, no, I can't really think of anything. Yeah. So I guess a little bit about myself. My name is Brian Anderson. I'm from Philadelphia, or at least the Philadelphia area, Pennsylvania, Lansdale. Yeah, so I moved down to Florida when I was 16. Went to high school here, kind of made some friends, graduated, joined the Army. I spent 5 years, did 2 deployments to Iraq. And I'm not bullshitting you. This isn't some like Jason Blaha kind of smoke that I'm blowing up your ass. I did do 2 deployments, and I have plenty of evidence of that. But I am not a contract mercenary, whatever the hell Jason Blaha is. But yes, I am an Army vet. So after I got out of the Army, basically I went full sedentary. I was just tired of exercising. I was burnt out from running and push-ups. Plus I didn't really know anything about programming. So pretty much every time I went in the gym, I'd get motivated, be like, yeah, I got to take my health back and get in shape. And then, I would sputter out in the gym because I never really had a plan. I wasn't really reaching for any big goals. And yeah, I just kind of sputtered out. And I would say from about 2009, which is when I got out, until late 2011, I was pretty much sedentary. Every once in a while, I do like some push-ups and pull-ups and some like, ab crunches and stuff like that, just to kind of make myself feel better. Or I go for like a half-mile jog. But for the most part, I was pretty sedentary. I wasn't doing anything. And then in 2011, I started coming across these YouTube personalities, these fitness personalities. It was actually the Hodge twins were the first guys I came across. Thought they were hilarious. I was really into their advice videos and just their social commentary. I just thought they were absolutely hilarious. So kind of started off with me getting into or being a fan of YouTube comedy, like fitness comedy. And then from there, I kind of graduated to like Elliot Hulse and kind of getting into like the philosophy behind training and stuff. And during this time, really like the Hodge twins kind of lit a fire for me. And I got back in the gym. I got, I had a plan. I started getting into programming and talking about, or, getting into progression and things like that. So, I came across Elliot Hulse and then like Omar Isuf, and basically the rest is history. Dave Tate, Johnny Candido, Izzy from Powerlifting to Win. Who else? Mark Bell, the whole super training crew. From there, it just lit a fire. I was really into it. I was surrounded by a lot of people that really into training, and Hodge twins are awesome. Marine vets, yeah. I know they have a lot of basic training videos, but they don't have a lot of they don't talk about being in the permanent party very much. I'm kind of interested. I've always been interested, like where they've been stationed, like what did they do when they were Marines? But I don't know. It doesn't seem like they were in for very long. If they were, it seems like they probably got a medical discharge because I know Keith and Kevin have problems with their backs, and like they refuse to deadlift, they refuse to squat. So 1 second. All right. Move this over here. Yep, got their shit snapped up. All right. Anyway, all right, so let's get into some of the questions that I've had on my channel. So one guy that asks, what kind of assistance exercises should I be using for the trap bar deadlift progression? And just so you know, I already answered these questions in comment replies, but I figured I'd kind of put it in a video too, just to kind of put it out there. So assistance exercise for the trap bar deadlift. So typically when I do, when I'm really into barbell deadlifting, barbell progression, since that is a lift that is mostly focused on the posterior chain, so the glutes, the lower back, and the hamstrings, I tend to kind of focus on anterior loaded compound movements. So like front squats, goblet squats, kettlebell swings, things that would kind of work my my quads and the anterior portions of my legs a little bit more, since the deadlifts, and especially if I'm doing back squats too, which I don't really do too much of these days. I'll get into that. But especially if I'm hammering on my posterior chain with those two lifts, I definitely want to incorporate some anterior loaded compound movements too. That being said, so the trap bar deadlift, the weight distribution is pretty much dead center. Since you're standing in the middle of the center of gravity, your posterior chain and your anterior chain are basically getting worked pretty evenly. So as far as assistance goes, I try to kind of feel out any kind of imbalances I might have and kind of work on the antagonist muscles. So yeah, if I feel my quads are kind of weaker, I'll definitely start hammering on those. I've been doing a lot of bicycling lately, as like cardio, and that's actually helped quite a bit. Especially because there's no like next day soreness from biking. Since basically you're contracting the entire time, right? So there's no eccentric portion of biking whatsoever. So you're not really having an opportunity to kind of lengthen and break down the muscle tissue. So I really prefer that. I feel my joints are a lot stronger. My knees feel stronger. And yeah, so anyway, I'm going off the rails here. So if you're focusing on the trap bar deadlift, I would definitely incorporate not only some back squats, but definitely some front squats. Pretty much the type of assistance exercises you would go for would incorporate kind of working the posterior chain, and then, like I said, the anterior muscles like the quads. pretty evenly, since the trap bar deadlift in itself is a pretty evenly distributed exercise. Words. All right. So also the low handle. So if you notice, pretty much all of my trap bar deadlift videos, I'm using the high handle, which means the range of motion is slightly less. I don't have to sink my hips as far to the ground. The high handle trap bar deadlift is actually more similar to a rack pull. It's not quite a rack pull. It's not quite a block pull. It's like a block pull light. So if you're having trouble with power off the ground, definitely flip that trap bar upside down and use the low handles. Work on deficit speed. And then, of course, if you suck at locking out, you might want to put your trap bar on a pair of blocks and do some partials. You know, you want to work in some rack pulls, different types of hip thrust exercises. That's my weakness. So, like, I can get beyond 100% of my max. I can get that off the ground, but I can't lock it out. My weak point has always been locking out. So anyway, so I hope I kind of covered the trap bar deadlift there in depth. What do we got going on? All right. So let's see. I got a question here. I love deadlifting, but it kills my back. How do you prevent this? All right. Kills your back. So if deadlifting is hurting your back, you're definitely not sinking your hips enough. You definitely want to bring your hips down and kind of turn the deadlift into a sort of a partial squat. You're going to do that. Actually, let me just say, I did a video on how I fixed my deadlift. I would actually go check that one out as far as that goes. But just the short answer is you need to sink your hips a little bit more, and you need to focus on lifting the weight with your legs. Because all a deadlift really is a squat with your hands holding a barbell. That's pretty much all it is. It's like a half squat with your hands on the bar instead of the bar on your back. So that being said, you want to treat it a little bit more like a squat. You don't want to, like, dip your hips below parallel. There are some power lifters that do it. I believe Eddie Hall, who's a strongman competitor, he actually rolls the bar into his shins, sinks his hips a lot. Pretty sure it's like below parallel or at parallel. And then he kind of lifts it from there. But that is a very complicated technique. It's not as straightforward and simple as it looks. The timing on that is impeccable. It's absolutely perfect. And he's basically utilizing momentum to help get the weight up. So if your lower back is kind of hurting you, especially with deadlifts, you need to treat it a little bit more like a squat. So you need to focus on, as you're lifting the weight, you got to drive your feet into the ground. Think of pushing the earth away with your feet instead of lifting the weight with your back, right? It's like your grandparents or your parents used to say, right? Lift with your legs, not your back. And that's actually how you do it. You drive your feet into the ground. And thanks for the question, Jamie. I hope I answered it. So I got another question here. This one is from, so I did a compilation video recently of my PRs, which one of those just got beat recently. So I'm going to have that uploaded, going to memify that a little bit and upload that pretty soon. But anyway, so I did a compilation video on my best lifts, and I had a comment on there asking me what programs were useful for me getting as strong as I am. So that's that's a very long question. But this is a live stream, so we got time. So basically, I guess we'll go all the way back to when I was a newbie, because the guy that asked the question Doesn't seem to be on any sort of progressive overload style program. So basically, when I was where you're at right now, basically in the newbie phase, making gains, I had plateaued with a 255 bench, a 455 deadlift, and a 315 squat. And that plateau was very, very frustrating. I really thought I knew what I was doing at the time. And, I just seemed to not be able to squeak out any more weight whatsoever. It was a very hard plateau. And basically what I did was I gave in and I bought the original 531 book by Jim Wedler. And that taught me, it taught me so much. Really about mostly checking your ego, because the thing that I was doing at the time when I was that plateaued, I would go to the gym and try to lift heavy almost every day. And on a very regular basis, I was shooting for PRs. I was constantly trying to one up myself. And that's the kind of training that'll just run you straight into the ground. So, and it did. It ran me into the ground. It was very frustrating. I had some pain. I didn't have any injuries yet. We'll get into that. But I did have a significant amount of pain. And I wasn't making any progress. So it's like I was mentally in pain too. Basically just like farting into the wind, just like going to the gym and just feeling like I'm not really accomplishing much. But that book 531, that changed it. That taught me about programming, really about checking your ego, dialing the weights way back. That was a huge one. And when you start getting strong, the ego definitely becomes part of the equation. And my ego did not want to accept the fact that I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And my ego definitely did not want me to cut back on weight. That was like the last thing I wanted to hear. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like today I'm benching 185. You know what I mean? Like what the hell? But when I got into percentage based progression, oh man, my plateaus just got destroyed. And that was just with the original 531 program, which wasn't even technically meant to be a powerlifting program. Jim Wendler kind of wrote that as like a retirement program. Like, hey, I'm done with powerlifting, but I still kind of want to be strong. So basically, it was originally intended to be like a maintenance program. And then the powerlifting community got a hold of it, took it and ran with it. And then Jim Wendler was like, whoa, like this isn't actually a powerlifting progression. Like you're going to stall out pretty quick with this. And that's pretty much what happened to me. I did end up stalling out again. And so, yeah, so from there, so off of the original 531 program, I got from 255 on bench to 305, 455 on deadlift to 500. And then from that 315 squat, I got up to 385. So I made significant progress. Those gains were in the course of about 7 or 8 months. I made significant amounts of gains, started gaining a lot of size. That's when people really started to notice like, oh shit, like he's taking this gym thing seriously. So that was after getting on the original 531 program. Then what ended up happening kind of during that time, like right on the end phase of me running 531, I hired an IPF powerlifting coach. His name was Brett. And man, this guy, I don't know. I mean, like I should have hired a coach way sooner. Like checking your ego at the door and just admitting that you don't know some things is really, really important. Just to growing in general, not just growing in fitness, but just growing as a human being. If you can't admit that you're wrong when it comes to anything, like you're setting yourself up for some stunted growth pretty much. So what I did was I hired this coach. This guy really got me on track. I learned a crap load about just powerlifting, strength progression, really got into the details with fitness and dieting, learning about cutting weight for competition. I mean, it was just like, it was an eye-opening experience. I learned so much from this guy. He taught me about RPE, which is the rate of perceived exertion. So basically how you feel with each rep that you're performing. And when you're getting towards basically your maximum amount of strength output and kind of stopping shy of that. That's the thing with strength training and powerlifting. You don't want to go to failure. You never want to go to failure. You want to leave a rep or two in the tank. Going to failure, it's not good for anything. You're just going to burn out your nervous system and you're not going to grow off of that. So that's what I mean. Check your ego, dial back a little bit. But yeah, I learned a lot about exercise science, programming and whatnot from this guy. We performed a powerlifting meet together, and he got me some pretty good numbers there. So anyway, so kind of after that, after we parted ways, I got into Beyond 531, which was Jim Wendler's second book, a follow-up. So he kind of realized like, wow, a lot of people are liking this 531 program. We need to kind of make it more powerlifting specific. So that's exactly what he did. So the second iteration of 531 basically incorporated what's called Joker sets, which is just a way of adding a little extra volume. Basically, after your AMRAP set that you would typically do in 531, you do sort of some Joker sets where you kind of go a little bit heavier and you add some sort of high intensity volume after your sets. And that program, so I broke a lot of plateaus there. That was another major plateau buster. So from there, I got to my maximum weight of back squat, which was 420. Basically an old injury from the Army came back to haunt me, and I stopped back squatting almost entirely during this time. After my third or fourth powerlifting meet, when I hit that 420, that was basically the last time that I'd ever done heavy squats. I have 2 bulging discs in my cervical spine from the military. I'll prove it. So just kind of fold this. Actually, I can just show you the back here. So, boom. It's actual VA disability paperwork. So that's a 10% disability for some strain issues in my cervical spine, bulging discs, ugly stuff. So having the weight sit on my back it was not an option anymore. So I had to walk away from the back squat almost entirely. Definitely had to walk away from doing it heavy. So anyway, so I got to 420, then my 305 bench got up to 330, and my 500-pound deadlift got to 530, which I had set on the platform during my third or fourth powerlifting meet. I don't remember. Was it third? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, third. Yes, third powerlifting meet. That was IPA up at York Barbell, Pennsylvania. Okay, so that was a plateau buster there. Yeah, so after that, I hit another plateau with Beyond 531, and basically I started experimenting with different programs. I got into Izzy from Powerlifting to Win. I really loved his channel back in the day, and Johnny Candido. And basically, I just started running different programs to kind of break the plateau, and really like nothing was working. I tried the Bulgarian method. I played with Westside a little bit. I tried the Smolov. Oh my God. Tried the Smolov program, which was one of the most brutal things I'd ever done. And honestly, my body was not capable of handling these programs. Let's just say I'm not on the right supplements to be able to effectively run these extremely high volume training programs. So during this kind of experimental phase, I tore my gluteus medius, so basically my lower back, the muscles. I didn't actually, there's no spinal injury, but I tore my medius. My elbow extensor was torn from an overhead press. My AC joint was torn from trying to go wider on bench. And that's the little ligament in here that attaches your clavicle to your shoulder girdle. And so I ended up with a host of injuries. And honestly, I was physically broken, and it just broke me mentally. I was just super discouraged. And I pretty much just walked away from powerlifting for a solid 6 months or so. During this time, I got into more heavy kettlebell stuff. I got really into kettlebells. And then strongman style training, tire flipping, lifting Atlas stones, log presses and stuff like that. But I kind of shied away from powerlifting progression. I never really thought that I was completely out of it. Now's the time to retire. You're 30. How old was I? 32. I'm 34 now, by the way, in case you're wondering. But I was 32 at the time. And I was like, am I too old? Is this too much? Are you giving me a sign here? Do I need to back off? But that was really the thing that I needed to do, was kind of walk away from powerlifting entirely and just ignore it for a little bit. And this last iteration, this last stint, I mean, the gains have been incredible just because I've been, I don't know, I haven't been as stuck on following a program to a T kind of thing. I'll kind of get into the style training that I do now, but let's finish this little tale of my lifting history here. Yeah. So 2015 is when Bull Strength was founded. 2015 is when I began writing my own powerlifting programs, strength building programs in general. And basically I've been just running my own programs for the last 3 years or so. It's basically just been a work in progress, been using my body as a guinea pig, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. And, from this style of training, obviously I've made some gains. My deadlift has gone from 530 to my last one of 575. So overall, things are looking pretty good. Bench press, I picked up another 15 pounds. So plateaus are breaking, or they were at least. And so basically what I do now, it's almost like, you ever hear of intuitive eating? It's just kind of knowing what you need. You are good at really good at ballparking your calories and ballparking your macros. And you pretty much, without even trying, you pretty much maintain weight, or you put on muscle mass, or whatever your goal is. You pretty much do it without thinking. It's just intuitive at that point. Auto regulation. There you go, Nindo, right there. Exactly. Auto regulation, and definitely a lot of RPE. So really listening to my body. So this is how I've been rolling for about the last 4 or 5 months or so. I have not been on any kind of program. Like I said, I have written several, but I'm not running them anymore. I basically go in the gym. I know what I need to do. I can just feel what I need to do. I hit the muscles I need to hit for the rep ranges that I feel like I need to hit. And kind of if you look at my workout log, which, I've kept a log for, I have books full of shit going back to 2012. If you look at my workout log though, and I can't stress that enough, if you're not logging, you need to get on that. It's very easy to get discouraged in the gym, just from kind of, I don't know, it's one thing to not follow a program, but then to not follow a program and not record anything. It's you're setting yourself up to kind of sputter out for sure. So if you look at my log though, it still follows basically a progressive overload style training routine. Whereas, I'll have a week where there's higher volume. Maybe I'll do some 4x8s or some 4x6s. And then I'll kind of taper back on the volume and increase the intensity. So I'll go from like from that to like some 6x3 rep ranges, or like 6x2, just depends on the percentage I'm using, what I feel like lifting that day, basically. And then I'll have like a super high intensity, very low volume week, which, you know, I'm basically just in the gym hitting heavy singles, heavy partials, and then I deload basically whenever I need to. Nowadays, it's not like, oh, I need to get to the end of week 3 or week 5 and hit my deload. There's no set time that I deload. If I hit a heavy volume week, which, you know, in a progressive overload program, it goes like high volume, then you taper down till basically you replace the high volume with high intensity. Basically, shit, what was I saying? Oh God. Oh, brain fart. Oh, basically my deloads will just come in whenever I feel like I need one. So if I'm doing the high volume week and I'm like, crap, you know, I'm feeling a little beat up, I'll literally just deload the next week and then just start over. There's no shame in doing that. So yeah, listening to your body is super, super, super important. You know, like I said, when I was running Smolov, Westside, Bulgarian Method, all these different crazy powerlifting programs, the injuries were just happening left and right because I was like forcing my body to kind of conform to these programs that were just too much for me. And honestly, like I said, written by people that are on certain supplements that I'm not on. So my body just couldn't keep up with those. Whereas nowadays, I'm kind of doing my own thing and I'm still making progress. But anyway, let's see if I have any more notes here. It's pretty much, I pretty much talked about everything on the list. Oh, okay. So I just want to say one little thing about CrossFit. Okay. I know I went straight for the throat on that last video. Like I got, it was pretty harsh. And once again, I said this in the video, I just want to stress this. Not all CrossFit coaches are trash. Okay. The only thing I said was that the CrossFit level 1 certification is trash. And if that's all you have, like, you know, no kind of research on your own or any other additional certifications, it's not enough knowledge to train people. And what I was saying is like the NASM, the ACE, like to get through those courses, it takes months of studying, of going through the courses, of reading the slideshows, of watching the video presentations, of reading the book, of taking notes, taking practice tests. It is thorough, very thorough. And the exam is it's proctored, and the exam itself is nationally credited, meaning it's peer reviewed. So that's really all I was saying. You guys know that I'm not into the appeal to authority style logical fallacy. I do not believe in appealing to authority. However, I'm just saying in itself, the CrossFit level 1 certification is not enough. Now, let me give a little love to CrossFit. I'm going to give a little love your way. So this right here, Becoming a Supple Leopard. This is one of the best books that I've ever read. Like, as far as training goes, I mean, it ain't no Lord of the Rings, but as far as training goes, this is one of the best books I've ever read. I mean, this is very in depth as far as kinesiology goes, as far as all the movements, all the big compound lifts are all broken down very thoroughly in here, down to breaking down every single fault that you can possibly have with your form and how to correct it. It's very, very extensive with prehab, with fascia release, with voodoo flossing, with very advanced training techniques. So you could almost get away with reading this book. And I mean, I feel like you could at least pass like 30-40% of the personal training, ACE exam, action exam, whichever one you want to take. This book will give you the knowledge. So Becoming a Supple Leopard, which is written by Kelly Starrett. and this is why I say I'm giving love to CrossFitters. This guy is a staunch and devout CrossFitter. But this is a fantastic book. It's a terrible name for a book, but it's a good book. So Becoming a Supple Leopard, like where the hell did he come up with that? But yeah, fantastic read, written by a CrossFitter. So obviously the entire community is not garbage. It's that you've got a lot of fakers and kind of posers in CrossFit as far as the coaching goes. And if you watch the video that I did trashing CrossFit, like listen to that coach in the beginning where that girl is trying to get that overhead press and fails it, like clearly doesn't have the muscle strength to do it. And then the coach is like, do it again. And then she almost breaks her freaking skull. It's like, it's so dumb. Like that's what I was trying to say. Like with the coaches, they're all about get those reps in, get them in. It doesn't matter if your form's breaking down, your posture looks like shit. You're plagued with muscle imbalances. They don't care. They just want the reps, get the reps. And like, that's not my style. I think it's garbage. You're setting people up for injury. And, yeah, it's pretty bad. Anyway, it's been 46 minutes of me talking to anywhere from 2 to, I think I peaked out at like 6 or 7 people. But like I said, Friday at noon was kind of an odd time to go live. But yeah, this video, I'm going to leave it on the channel. We're going to save it. It's just going to be part of my channel. So, yeah, I'm sure a lot of you missed this live stream. Definitely check it out. If you've just heard that, you've obviously already clicked on it. So I don't even know why I just said that. But, anyway, yeah, so Sunday evenings, I want to start having some live streams. Like I said, like I said earlier in the day, I'm going to kind of post a reminder. I'm going to let you guys know exactly when I'm going live, and then I'll see you guys there. Thanks for tuning in, especially you, Nindo, supplying all the good questions, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out. This is going to be awkward because now I got to figure out how to stop my stream. All right, peace out. Peace out.